we on? Thanks everybody for showing up to listen to our presentation. Our company is called Highbank Resources, and you'll be looking at a lot of companies around today that are in all kinds of other minerals, gold, silver, you name it. And we are a unique company, and we are selling aggregate. So the value of aggregate is increasing. There's a shortage of aggregate all up and down the west coast in Ontario, and we happen to have a deposit right on tidewater north of Prince Rupert, and we're preparing to go into production in November roughly. We've been working on a deposit here that's a 70 million ton deposit, and essentially our capital cost of putting this project into production is going to be around $8 million. So that in itself speaks wonders for the cost of putting a mine into production. Where is that fuse? Forward? Okay. So the location is obviously a big part of where our deposit is located. We're on Portland Canal, which is a year-round ice-free tidewater inlet that goes all the way up to our northern port of Stewart. So we're able to ship this material by barge to a huge infrastructure bill in Port of Prince Rupert, which is a $3 billion expansion going on with federal government backing, as well as another location. If you look here is Grassy Point. Our deposit there is the location right on Portland Canal where the big star is. And if you look south about 30 miles is Grassy Point, which is proposed for 2 to 3 LNG plants, as well as the pipelines will be coming down the inlet, proposed inlet right next to us. So we've got a market right in our backyard, and that's a huge plus when you can ship such a small distance to a market. Right there is a picture. We are already building our barge loadout facility on Portland Canal. They're on site right now, and while that is going on, we're also we have our camp set up already, and we're already stripping the overburden. The deposit is very close to surface, so it's going to be very economical to mine, and it's a high quality sand gravel mixture. So essentially we're looking at washing material, not really crushing and grinding material. So another cost saving in the whole aspect of the project. A quick snapshot of our stock. We're about 85 million shares issued as of September, and we've grown from a 5-cent stock to 38-cent stock in the last year, and very small market cap at this point. We're looking at competing with a couple of other companies in the marketplace. 2 other producers, Athabasca Minerals, an Alberta company. Their price range $231 in the last week, as well as Polaris Minerals, and they're on the TSX 222 in the last week. Polaris Minerals incidentally ships aggregate all the way from Port Alberni on Vancouver Island all the way to California. So you can imagine the cost of their shipping costs, shipping container ships all the way to California. We've been talking about shipping. We're moving British Columbia to California in the last 7 years. So the province, unfortunately, is moving a lot of material down there. We have the advantage, of course, by we have an immediate market right in our backyard, so we don't have to look at shipping 1,000 miles We're looking at from 70 miles to even less than that to the Grassy Point proposal for the LNG plants. So a big plus for us, and we will be looking at these sort of prices once we get into production here shortly. Construction aggregate, of course, a lot of people just do not realize the value of the aggregate industry. So there's some statistics here that you know, it's one of the world's most mined minerals or materials next to oil. Global sales were at about $99 billion in 2012 and have been increased 41% from 2010. Canadian consumption alone is an average of 10 to 15 tons per person. The BC production is obviously going to increase immensely with the proposals at the Port of Prince Rupert. And the big infrastructure movement in the Port of Prince Rupert is, we need some key points. Is mainly that this port is closer to the Asian market by 33 hours. So the Port of Vancouver is full, essentially for getting material out, and by having a port that's already been established, they can move materials such as potash, coal from Northeast Coal, oil, as well as the LNG now out of the Port of Prince Rupert that's going to be able to get to the market much quicker at a cheaper cost. We've all got all our permits and licenses approved, and our capital costs up to this point are only about $5.3 million. So, you know, compare that to any major gold mine or any other mineral of capital costs of putting a mine into production. It's peanuts. You know, it's been an undertaking for a junior to get to a producing project. Our original plan was to take it to permitting, and we expected at least still get a major aggregate company take us over. But we decided to go the next step, and that's put into production. And as we go into production, the value of our property is just going to increase if somebody wants to acquire it. As I say again, the proximity to the LNG and pipelines. There's a number of pipelines, proposed gas pipelines, that are going to be coming right down past our deposit to feed the LNG plants. So with more work and more gravel for us to provide in our backyard. We have 72 million tons, and just taking the average price of gravel aggregate going in the area of $30 a ton, you're looking at a $2 billion asset value to our deposit, and that's what's 43-101 compliant. We've got cooperative agreements already with First Nations in the area, and a partnership with the Metlakatla. And we have now processing equipment on site. Our site preparation is underway, and as the site is being readied, we also have our barge loading facility is under construction as of Monday. So we'll be moving at processing material and stockpiling material before the barge loading facility is completed, which should take about 3 to 4 weeks. We've increased our land position from 51 to 174 hectares, all in good standing, and that's a license of occupation with the government. So the 43-101 compliant is on that first 51 hectares. So we've got lots of room to expand, and all the indications are with testing that we've done that this aggregate continues on up through the 174 hectares. So we're ready for a number of years of production. That in itself is easily 25 years of production, what we have already measured and indicated. Obviously, the economic potential for us is in the Prince Rupert area. There are limited supplies of gravel, sand and gravel at the moment, and our deposit has been tested and meets the specifications for high quality construction aggregate. So it's been tested by the research agency in Richmond, British Columbia that tests for aggregate, and we've got a high-rise quality. So once again, 72 million tons at an average cost right now of about $30 a ton, puts $2 billion worth of asset on our deposit. Our target market, obviously right there in the Port of Prince Rupert is our primary target area. Even Alaska, the deposit, if you look at our deposit, it is on the Portland Canal, and that is the border between Alaska and British Columbia in Canada. So there's a potential in the Alaskan market all the way up to Stewart, which is our northern port, and a lot of potential in that port of Stewart even, which is closer to us. There's about 3 to 4 mines, gold, copper mines, that are coming on stream in just north of Prince, the port of Stewart, that are going to be requiring aggregate also for construction of the expansion of that port. So it just keeps growing as we are getting near to production. And that is a competitive advantage for us. We have the market right in our backyard, and we will be barging this material. The blue sky, let's say, if we were talking stock of Highbank, is the LNG plants that are proposed. And Grassy Point, that you've seen in the media, is only about 30 miles from our deposit. It's actually closer on the canal. So we'll be able to supply that, the LNG plants that are proposed, 2 to 3 in Grassy Point, as well as the pipelines that are being coming down to those LNG plants that are going to be require a lot of gravel. We have sales contracts already in place for the first 6 months of our production, and the cement plant in Prince Rupert is preparing to ramp up our contract as soon as we start delivering the first barge loads. And that's 150,000 tons that we signed in March. Just want to go to that slide. Our 10-year expansion plan that we hope to feed in the Port of Prince Rupert, that's a $1.3 billion federal funded initiative. So that's going ahead right now. There's the container terminal expansion in the Port of Prince Rupert. You'll see by this picture, Can Potash has already attracted land in the middle of the island there for a potash terminal. Currently they're shipping out of Vancouver. The coal terminal in the upper left part of the location there for expansion, as well as all the rail corridors and other terminals expanding in the port. Spectra, BG, the 850-kilometer pipeline project, huge more demand for gravel right there at $68 billion. Potash terminal, the island, Watson Island development. So all this work in that port is going to require gravel, aggregate, sand, and there's not a lot of projects where you got your market right in your backyard, and that's where we're sitting. This illustration of Grassy Point, you'll see here location A, and in the location to our Swan Point project. And essentially we're coming down that, the dotted line is the border between the BC and Alaska, down Portland Canal. And we've got the market right in our backyard with the LNG projects that are slated for Grassy Point, CNOC Asian group as well as Woodside have already secured land at Grassy Point from the BC government to build their LNG plants there, and then 2 plants proposed, Petronas and BC LNG in Prince Rupert. So there's more than that proposed for LNG along the coast, but essentially we're looking at those 4 plants as our close market in the near term, as well as the likes of Exxon Mobil and others that are permitting and proceeding ahead. The BC government, of course, their $25 billion Pacific Gateway Transportation Strategy is everything that they're proposing in there is requiring aggregate. 9 to 11 billion for the Pacific Northwest LNG. That's the other one in Prince Rupert. If you have a chance, this website, invest in Northwest BC.ca. I can't stress that site enough, but take a look at that website and you'll see the amount of infrastructure that's planned in the northwest of BC. You click on that site and you'll see the infrastructures that are being planned for both Prince Rupert, Terrace, Stewart, that whole area, and it's mind-boggling and staggering actually. And so that's BC's answer right now to the Alberta Fund as they all talk about, you know, in reducing the taxes in British Columbia and a big fund for the province. Our production schedule, we are, as I said, we're loading pilings, driving the pilings for completion in October. Our conveyors will be installed after that. We'll be loading first barges by truck from the deposit, and then as we ramp up production, we have about an 800-foot conveyor being constructed right now to take it right from the site right onto the barges. Initially, we'll be about 235,000 ton per year, and we expect to expand that with further environmental review and expand to a life of mine to ramp this up to over 1 million ton per year as we go into 15 and 16. So right now, our source of funds, we've managed to raise $6 to $7.5 million through a convertible debenture. Recently, we did a $4 million convertible debenture to be paid out of production, and equity financing up to that. We've expended over $5.3 million in the capital cost, which is, as I said, very little, to get a project to a production stage, and running the company about $500,000 in the last year. So you know, it's been let's say somewhat of a challenge in the market, but we've done very well. And this is just a little more detail on the inflows, where we've got our money in the last year. Exercising of warrants, we did a number of financings at 8 cents last year, and we've had 10, 12, and 15 cent warrants that are being exercised. So there's not a lot of juniors here in the last year that can boast an 8 cent stock that they've tripled their money in 1 year. We've been up at 38 cents. And their warrants are also in the money and doubling their warrant values right now. So in a struggling market, there's not a lot of companies that can be boasting the same situation. And then we will expect about $3 million in sales revenue in the next 3 months of production. Our outflows of cash for this year. Essentially, we've $5.3 million in our startup capital costs up to this point. $2 million will be our operating costs on that first 115,000 tons. So already showing a cash flow profit in 3 months, and 480 to 500,000 tons for running the company in the last year. This excludes our interest payments on the debenture, but that is easily paid out over 3 years on a quarterly basis. We'll be updating our cash flow projections on our website as soon as we are in production in the next month. Our long-term objectives through 14 and 15, obviously 115,000 tons this year, 810,000 in 2015. So you're looking at $27.5 million per year in revenue at about $34 a ton. 11.7 million in operating profit in the first full year. Is an impressive figure for a junior mining company. By 16, we hope to ramp up to 1.17 million tons per year, and the numbers just start to go up. That they become staggering. And we're estimating a very conservative price of about $30 to $34 a ton. The projections right now that we're looking at and tendering on are more in the neighborhood of $50 and up. There's currently an aggregate producer about 80 miles away inland that's supplying the Rio Tinto project, and they're selling between $60 to $75 a ton aggregate. So we got a lot of ways to move it as far as our sales price, and we should be very competitive. Our cost, roughly estimate of shipping, including production costs and barging to the Port of Prince Rupert, about $17.50 a ton, including a $2 royalty. So that's royalties to the government and other parties, First Nations, etc., that have been agreed upon. So we got a long way to go with that low cost of production, and as we expand, we hope to even reduce that cost of production and be even more competitive in the market. So the management of the company, Vic Bryant, metallurgical engineer, has been with us. He's been in the business for 40 years and put major mining companies' plants, mainly his expertise is in putting plants together. So he's the CEO and has done all the work in going through the permitting process. Myself, I've been in 30 years in the public company, and previously I was working for a producing mining company, Dickinson Mines, which became Goldcorp. I became the controller of one of their operations, so I'm used to a production situation also, although the last 15-20 years I've been raising financing for exploration companies, as well as Highbank was for a lot of years, and a number of other junior mining companies. Stan Spletcher from Houston, nearby, has a lot of experience in contracting, as well as has worked aggregate projects and worked in the forestry, and so he's recently come on board a year and a half ago, and he'll be the VP of Operations. And he's right there in the backyard with his home-based business of fabricating as well as construction work. Lord Manning, mining engineer, has been around over 50 years, well known in Vancouver, so we've got a good rebound of people on the board that we've been able to access information and experience and moving forward. Jim Place, a geologist that we just brought on about a year ago. He has worked with the BC government. He's also worked with a company called Levelton, which is the big research company that does aggregate research. So he's firsthand, he knows what the testing of gravel is all about. He's worked for Levelton on the research of aggregates for a number of years, and he's now on our board, full-time director and a geologist. And then just recently we brought on CPA out of Chatham, Ontario. and Bill Loves is now my backup for all the financing that we've had to do, and he has helped bring in the last $4 million into the company, and plus in the convertible debenture out of Chatham, Ontario. They brought in $3.3 million in our last financing, and Bill was the catalyst that got a number of people that in the Chatham area that know what the cost of gravel is and know the what it means to actually have a gravel deposit go for production. So this is the start of our management team. We expect as we get into production to add some more marketing people on board, but we've got a very well-rounded board to proceed into the production stage for the next 3 years, and then from there we've already been in discussions. There's a potential for our project to be bought up by those major aggregate companies already talking to us. That so there's an exit strategy if we want to take it, and that is a very potential a buyout or a takeover of our company by major aggregate producers on the West Coast. Any questions? Well, thank you. We have a booth just over here, 615, a couple rows over, and we've got additional information on